Coming to you from beautiful Flagstaff, Arizona, this is the Drinking Horn Meadcast. Join us as we take a deeper dive into mead and mead culture. Throughout history, the greatest weapons have carried legendary names. These weren't just weapons, they were symbols of power, story, and myth. And now, we're doing something a little dangerous and exciting at Drinking Horn Meadery, because we've created our own series of legendary weapons in the form of mead. 4 brand new meads inspired by some of the most iconic weapons in mythology and fantasy. And today on the Meadcast, we're bringing in the brewers themselves to talk about how these recipes were forged. From blackberry to fig, smoked tea to Thai basil, these might be some of the most creative meads we've ever released. The first one drops April 1st, and after today, you'll know exactly which weapon you'll want to wield. I'm not Evan.
And I'm not Nick.
I'm not Charlie.
And I'm not Nick.
Oh gosh, that totally confused me. You're right.
Just-
I was like, no, you're not supposed to say me. Nice, perfect. Yes, we've got 2 Nicks on right now.
It looks like you're just wearing a t-shirt, but...
What?
2 Nicks.
Two Nicks.
And welcome to episode
you
number
hear the
44
groans?
of the Drinking Horn Meadcast.
Meadcast.
Lovely start, excellent job. You guys nailed it. I messed it up as usual. That happens all the time. But yeah, welcome to episode number 44. Working title, Choose Your Weapon, the story behind our new mead series. Like it?
Yeah, classic.
Yeah, good. Approved. 4 thumbs up.
4 thumbs up.
4 thumbs up. 1 in the closet.
That means each of us only gave 1 thumb up.
Yeah.
Yeah, not
So
2.
we could do 8
Not
thumbs. Oh,
2.
that's bad.
Yeah, that was like
4 thumbs
50%.
up is not good because we have 4
Yeah.
people. That's right. All right. Well, we're just going to have to do better. Can't be perfect. Unless you're little baby Odin.
Perfect little baby Odin. I like to think of Odin in a tuxedo suit. Tuxedo
Oh,
t-shirt.
Nice. Excellent. I like it. Good reference.
Thank
Good
you.
reference. All right. Yeah, today we're talking about 4 legendary weapons and how we turn them into mead. And we are blessed. I don't know, blessed is kind of a big word for these guys, but we are honored. We're honored. We're blessed. We're blondered.
That's a small word.
We're
forgetting to have them on the thing.
Yeah, very, very, very. That's what I meant by that.
Yeah.
Put that angelic noise.
Welcome the brewers. Yay! Yeah, today we pulled them out of the production dungeon, and which actually is a better comfortable temperature, I think, than it is up here.
I
But
know.
we pulled them into a little bit of the.
I knew it.
Yep, and we get a phone call. All right, let's sling some mead. All right, so yeah, today we're talking about the 4 legendary weapons and how we made meads out of them. Kind of in a sense, that's actually not the right way of saying it, but
We schmelted them down.
schmelted.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, you were talking about how honored you were to have us here.
Oh, that's right. Yes, thanks for reminding us, Nick Perez. We got 2 Nicks on here, so 2 Nicks. But we're going to we have 2 Nicholases. So let's go ahead and introduce, in case you don't know, we have Charlie and Nick here with us on this Meadcast episode. So
Meadcast.
Charlie
Hello.
and Nick.
Hello.
I guess that was it. You're introduced.
Puppet.
Sweet. Yeah. So if you've ever tasted and enjoyed our mead before, these 2 are part of. We are missing one other third part today, but they are the ones creating the meads back there and creating that deliciousness that goes over your lips.
Sticky hands, clean money.
Yeah. Hashtag. All right, cool. Yeah, we are missing Ryan. Ryan is not with us today.
He didn't
die. Yeah, Ryan's not with us anymore.
No.
No, he's just out of the office. So this will go way smoother.
Oh.
Imagine having 5 people on this.
It would be a cacophony of voices.
Oh, cacophony. Yeah, it'd be a. Ugh.
I save up all my big words from the week to use right now.
It'd be a bouillabaisse.
Oh, I don't even know that word. You made that up.
Yeah, so thanks for joining us. Thanks for spending some time here on the microphones. So we're talking about a new series that's coming out, a new mead series, and I'm super excited because anytime we have a new mead that we haven't done before, it just makes me all giddy inside, and also excited about how people are going to also be happy and giddy about a new release. It's just exciting. It's just fun to do something new. I feel that way. Do you guys feel that way, or is it just like meh?
Slightly scary.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
okay. That's true. What's scary about it?
Yeah, we always do tests to make sure that it's going to be something that goes together well, but it doesn't always translate from a small sample batch to something much larger like our fermentation tanks. So there's always a little bit of nervousness, a little bit of, it's excitement for sure too, but there's some nervousness in there where you're like, I hope it turns out good, because if not, that's a lot of money that we spent.
There's a lot of new ingredients that we're rocking with these.
Yeah, hundreds of gallons. May take a while to go through if people don't enjoy it as much as some of the others.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I feel that. I don't feel it as much as I'm sure you guys do, but because just I have this faith as a blindfold that you got. It's backed by hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of batches of deliciousness that you guys have produced. So in my mind, I'm like, I'm not scared. It's gonna be awesome. You guys always make awesome stuff. But I can definitely feel that. Do you feel that nervousness a little bit too, Perez?
Somewhat. Yeah, I feel like we wouldn't release something that we weren't happy with.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like even if it's new ingredients, if we're putting something different in there and then we don't like it, we're just going to keep trying to tweak it until we are happy with it before we release it. So
yeah, that's true. It's not like we're going to be like, oh, this is gross. I hope
hope other people like it.
Hashtag lavender.
Oh yes, we'll talk about one of the ingredients that does actually kind of that scares me more than anything, I think.
Yeah, it does.
But faith. There's also something else that could be kind of a little bit on, tickling around the nerves just a little bit, or the anxiety, or maybe it isn't. Maybe I'm just creating that. But there's also something else that these meads are going to be, not necessarily the first time we're ever doing it, but really close, and that's what the mead is going into. So we've got these new bottles that we are using and transitioning over to, and this is a new release or a breaking news.
Yeah, this will be kind of the first time that we're opening up about it. But we wanted to find some glass that was U.S. made to help support U.S. economy. We wanted to find something that didn't have quite the carbon footprint that ordering glass from China did, with having to travel on a boat and back and forth and all this other hoo-ha. So it's going to be, it's going to allow us to keep our prices low. And be, one of the most affordable meads out there, mead for the masses, right?
I think continue to be one of the most affordable. We are.
Yeah.
We nailed that. And then continue that path. I love that. I love all those reasonings, locally made, don't have to, I don't even want to know the footprint of getting something all the way across on a barge, the ocean, to us.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
It's insane. And just insurance and fuel and everything else, the cost just keeps going up and up, tariffs. So it's kind of a decision we had to make, and I'm excited to get feedback from our customers on how much they love them. It's definitely a little bit different because they're not going to have the swing top. It's just the crown cap now. You can still use it's still a standard wine size bottle, so you can still use whatever you have sitting around, old corks or if you have fancy bottle closure things that work on wine bottles, they'll work on this. We sell little vacuum pumps and wooden corks and everything at the hall, just in case you're thinking you need one.
Nice. Yeah, stand by for plenty of posts and advertising on that front to have your new bottles. And and you can always bring in your old bottles for refills. Mm-hmm. The swing tops if you'd like.
Yeah, maybe we can get them on our Vino shipper too if people need them on the online orders. I don't know if that'll complicate things, but
the stoppers.
Right.
Oh,
Might as well.
Those are easy to put in there.
Yeah, that's easy. Doesn't even take up a bottle space.
Yeah, when they're like, oh, add a hoodie, you're like, I can't fit that in there.
Hats.
Yeah,
Hats
extra
are the
hat,
worst.
yeah.
Shipping a hat, because I like a nice crisp hat.
Yeah, or a
Yours get crispier
14-inch
as you wear them.
Oh, this one's straight up crunchy.
or a 14-inch curved real horn that
Heyo!
doesn't. How do you get that in a box?
Oh, wow, yeah.
So many innuendos.
Oh, okay. So thanks for listening. We are now.
Definitely kicked off a TikTok.
Yeah. Hey, yeah. By the way, we're going live on TikTok. So how's everyone on TikTok over there? Nice. So that's good. Yeah, we got new bottles, we got new meads, new things happening. It's super exciting. I want to get into those meads and kind of start off with the backstory about how that happens. Like, like you could get into a groove where you're just making the same ones over and over again. Is it? I know, like, kind of want to hear from all you guys where it came from. If you can remember, like, what started that, because I don't think we don't put it on the calendar necessarily. Like, okay, it's been so many days, let's come up with a brand new mead recipe, or maybe it is, I don't know. But yeah, start out with Charlie. How do you remember that this new series coming about?
Well, we had good success with our Dragon series, which was kind of our first big series, and we were wanting to do something similar with a new, grouping that we could add to our mead titles. And I think we first started with swords.
What way?
From this point on, it's swords for
Swords.
sure.
So we were going to start with just swords, and we decided that, we can't do just swords because we have to throw Mjolnir. Is that
Mjolnir.
Mjolnir? Thor's hammer in there. And so we were like, okay, instead of just swords, we will do weapons. I think that's how we started out.
Cool. So, like, yeah, kind of just building maybe on the success of the Dragon series thought and idea.
Yeah, it's super cool to, like, collect, I don't know, bottles. I think a lot of people out there enjoy the art on our bottles, and so to have, like, the 4 Dragon series lined up on the shelf looks pretty cool. I think we were thinking the same thing with the swords, or the weapons. We can, get all the artwork done by our great artist Ben.
Shout out, Ben.
Yeah. So to have all 4 of those right next to each other, if you can keep the meat in there, better on you. I would say they look just as good without the meat in there, and you've got a full belly of mead. You can still display them. So
you can also buy multiple bottles of
Right.
each.
There you go. And drink them all and then buy some more bottles.
Yeah. And then if you have to, and then we're all out, you can maybe do food coloring or something like that. But no, the artwork is amazing. And look, if you're listening to this, look forward to those getting posted up on the socials. They're awesome. He outdid himself yet again on these. Anything else to add about where this idea comes from?
No, I mean, it's a team thing. We don't, like, one person doesn't just, like, come up with everything. It took a whole lot of kind of meetings with all of us sort of sitting together and doing it sort of piece by piece. I mean, from, like, conception till actually, like, moving forward, making progress on them. Like, it was like 4, 5, 6 meetings or something like that to kind of, like, first come up with, like, the weapons ideas, and then everybody kind of came up with flavors, and then we were tasting and drinking lots of different stuff, trying to figure out, like, some of these different flavors and where things would land at. And there's so few nasty ones in that, like, none. Like, we didn't come up, I mean, the 4 flavors that came up with were bangers right off the bat. And we got to, we're like Perez said earlier, we're not making, like, a full batch of these things to test them initially. It's just kind of like, sometimes it's literally like making 1 bottle of a flavor and then kind of variations of that flavor and trying to find out the best sort of balance and stuff between them. But it's a collaborative effort where, like, everybody comes together and kind of gets to put in their 2 cents and maybe even put in their whole idea for a mead, and then we find ways to get it through the feds and all of the red tape approval process, and which we're almost done with. And so it's a group thing, and I love that about that.
Yeah, and the
I'll tack on like just timing of things. I think we started this conversation before Ryan had moved over here, because we were looking at our calendar for next year, and I know that we still had October, November, December still written up there.
Oh, that's true.
So that was when we had first kind of figured, okay, if we're not going to do the dragons, what are we going to do instead? And like some of the initial weapons that I had brought up was like wanting to do like the blue shell from Mario Kart, Xena warrior princesses, like circular blade, a lightsaber, like random weapons, and started talking about different types, and then working on the recipes from there. So just as an insight of how long some of these new things takes, it's like
that's over 7 months.
Yeah, months of talking and scheduling before we even really start figuring out, okay, well then which ingredients, how are we going to source those ingredients, how are they going to work together, how do they fit in our schedule? It's like, I think throughout the year we average like 26 meads or something, maybe 24 or 26 on a yearly basis. So it's like from the 8 that we always make, how do we squeeze in an additional 20-something in that schedule?
That's a lot.
And where is this little group of new meads going to fit into that? And like hopefully when we do release them, that it's the right season. That's always a challenge, trying to introduce a flavor at the right time to make sure that it's successful.
Yeah, it turns out people don't like pineapple in December.
Right.
dumb
Weird.
people. So what I'm hearing is it's a very simple quick and simple process.
Right, yeah.
To come up with these. Yeah.
Super quick and simple. Yeah, because that was, like I said, over 7 months, and like we have most of our ingredients at this point, but we still don't have labels or anything else, and so we're still another month or so from things being in the bottle for the first one. So like that's yeah. 8 months.
Yeah, of a lot of gathering together. Yeah, and melding our minds together in a mixture. Maybe some LSD in there too. I don't know.
Not in the meads.
No, just kidding.
Just my special meads.
So we hinted a little bit at some of the. Well, actually, just I think one of the actual weapons, but we'll talk about them here, and then I want to kind of go backwards for a second. But we're going to have Excalibur, Mjolnir, Needle, and Master Sword. And so, I love the choices there, and we're going to go over each one of them. But those 4 were picked. Were there any of them that you guys remember that were like really close? Like you mentioned, I love the fact that you mentioned the blue turtle shell in Mario Kart. Which one was that? Was that the one that was definitely going to hit someone?
Yeah, that's the one that gets the first player.
Always to first place.
Like heat-seeking almost kind of one?
Yeah.
The first? Whoever's in first.
Yeah.
Like, it's been so long since I played
It
Mario
runs
Kart.
through everybody else, so it can still hit you, but it's only seeking player 1.
Oh,
Or first
okay.
place, yeah,
So you
first
could get
place.
hit even if you're not in first.
Yeah,
Because I
but-
know the red one is just like going. It's
Yeah,
just like if it
whoever's
happens
closest.
to hit, wherever. But anyway, I love the fact that there's that.
Red is heat. Red is the homing. Green just goes wherever.
Straight line.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
See, okay. I am getting booed right now by people in their car. I'm getting yelled at by people driving. They're like, "You freaking idiot! No, you don't know your shells, Mario Kart. What are you even doing at the meat hall?
Do you even Mario Kart, bro?
Do you even Mario? I used to. Now I just run. So
From the shells.
other than the shell, what do you guys remember? One that like almost made it. Like there's one pop in your head that you're like, oh man, we're either gonna do Master Sword or this one, or or maybe there wasn't any. Maybe it was just like.
I really like the idea of the lightsaber.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think there were a couple that we had brought up that sounded cool, but then trying to keep it a little more on theme. And then, talking about, I think Thor's hammer was kind of like the central point of like, all right, well, if we're trying to keep with either medieval or Nordic style weapons, maybe even keeping them within swords and hammers sort of thing, that maybe, using a Star Wars theme probably wasn't our best direction.
I get that. Yeah. Because these are all, most of them, well, no, all of them are kind of, that medieval-ish kind of thing or Norse kind of
If we
thing.
made a lightsaber mead, I feel like it would have to be a blue raspberry.
Nice. Yeah. That would be, I agree.
I'm going to keep looking for that fruit. Yeah, I've been looking
for that
for a while.
fruit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, don't eat it right off the bat. If you find a raspberry that's
It was
blue.
so fuzzy.
Yeah. Yeah. Cool. All right. Well, let's just get into the weapons. And so the first one to talk about is Excalibur. And I don't know. Do we want to say something about that one? About it being? Yeah, it's going to be the one to come out first.
Yeah.
April 1st. By the way, it just so happens that that's April 1st. This whole episode is not like some elaborate April Fool's joke.
We start our April Fools a month early because we're gonna get you good.
People come in the Mead Hall and we're like, we just released another batch of Bluetooth. They're like, what?
Gotcha, suckers.
No, it's going to be Excalibur, April 1st, 2026. And I'd like to, name an ingredient. I'm going to go around. Ready? That's in Excalibur. Go.
Blackberry.
Lavender.
That's it. I mean, I guess honey.
Yeah, honey.
And you?
Water.
Nice.
Okay, yeah, there's the trifecta.
Yeah, yeast and love.
And yeast.
Yeah. Cool. Nice. So blackberry, lavender. That's it. And that sounds delicious. Were there any thoughts on the choices of those ingredients?
Yeah, I wanted to try to do, I mean, I'm still trying to get us to do maybe something that's more session strength. And I've had, different versions of meads that have similar flavors to this sort of profile that are like, fruits and an herb and they're lower strength. So figured, well, if we're still within our normal range, our strength are 13%. I figured, well, even if I've had it as session strength before, why not try to make something that's got that same profile, but, still comes across like it's light and refreshing, kind of like our unicorn blood, still 13%, but still seems super crushable all the time.
Nice. And the elephant in the room, or the flower in the room, is the lavender on this. So what's our experiences with lavender here?
Soap.
So it can be, you can get that soap out of there.
I've got lavender flavored deodorant.
Yeah, I just bought a lavender candle yesterday.
Oh.
I mean, like
For my girlfriend.
Yeah, for my girlfriend. It was after
It's
I watched
space,
the
Nick.
football
You don't
game.
have to lie. You don't have to lie. It's okay.
No, bought a lavender candle. Yeah, soaps. We think of soaps.
I want to come smell your candle.
I've experienced lavender in the brewing process where it has been overpowering and kind of like that. Yeah, I'm eating or drinking a candle kind of situation. But as you said, this was something you're familiar with, like this combination or whatever. Have you ever experienced too much or too little or anything with the lavender?
I mean, probably not in like food or beverage, but I mean, I know there's a difference between like a food grade lavender and something that you might get in a candle or a soap or a potpourri. So, I think as long as it's a food grade lavender, use sparingly, but I personally don't think that you can get that soapy quality from, a nice food grade, high quality lavender like you would, Dove body wash lavender edition.
I had some lavender just the other day, but it was really soapy. I came out of like this big plastic tub, and you put it in when you're putting your clothes into the washing machine. You use it in there, and that stuff was super soapy.
Right.
Yeah.
You put it into your laundry.
Just a little nip. Oh no, I tasted just a little nip of it. Very, very soapy.
It tasted soapy.
Very,
Okay,
yeah.
You're kind of joking. Okay. I was like, yeah.
I mean,
Charlie, what do you think?
If it doesn't say "do not eat" on the package, and
Tide Pods.
Tide Pod Challenge.
Oh, yeah.
Drinking Horn's Lavender Soap Challenge.
So you guys have now dealt with the lavender, made little samples and stuff like that. It sounds like Nick Perez is not too worried about it. Maybe there's, I don't know, Charlie, what are your thoughts so far on how we've experienced the lavender additions?
I think when we taste tested it, we all decided that it would benefit from some bubbles in it. So that's one that we're going to do carbonated. And I think that, the carbonation tends to dull some of the flavors that are maybe a little sharp.
Okay.
So I'm not too worried about it either being too overpowered. I think the carbonation will also help it in that regard.
Nice. I didn't know that. Yeah, I guess that's something I wasn't even thinking about which ones are going to be still and which ones are going to be carbonated. And bubbles to soften that sharpness. I like that. And anything with the blackberry, just blackberry juice.
Yeah.
Straightforward. Yeah.
First time using it for us.
First time, yeah. Oh, wait, yeah. We've never done a blackberry?
The only ingredient in all of these that we've ever used before is cherry and vanilla.
Oh,
Those are the only two out of all the weapons.
out of all that we're going to talk about. All right.
Outside of honey.
That's right. Yeah, I'm looking at it right now.
It's a lot of new ingredients.
Huh. All right. That's awesome. That
means
it
makes it tough. It means sourcing it from new companies, and it means testing out the companies. I mean, it was like with the basil, and then it was like, okay, move from multiple basils into Thai basil, and then from Thai basil, are we using like fresh or are we using dried? And like you end up just tasting and tasting and tasting until you can't taste anymore.
Spoiler.
yeah. Spoiler for some of the ingredients. But yeah, hints. I guess in the very beginning, I said these are possibly some of the most creative meads we've done. Maybe in the sense of like using new ingredients. That's a good point. I love it. Look at all these good points you guys are bringing up. So that's Excalibur. Starting it off with a banger, good old sword in the stone style kind of thing. Anything you guys want to talk about the mythology or the background of Excalibur? Have any good fun stories? I'll start. I love the TV show, the BBC show Merlin. It's an old school series.
Oh, I do remember that.
Love Merlin.
Yeah.
And so that had King Arthur, and it had a little story about the stone and how Merlin put the sword into the stone and all that stuff. So shout out to the Merlin series.
For me, it was the Disney cartoon Sword in the Stone.
Yeah.
Man, I loved that one as a kid.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I can
what
imagine.
year? 1963.
That was the Disney one?
I think so.
63?
Yeah.
Charlie looks amazing for his age.
Yeah, I was minus like 30.
Yes. Yeah, right.
Disney's primetime era, right? It's
Yeah.
their best films in the 60s.
I'm sure they weren't doing anything heinous back there
Right.
either. Ugh.
Yeah, Sleeping,
1963. I did not even think they had cartoons like that, like movies of that. I mean, I knew they had the black and white Mickey Mouse, like on the steamboat kind of thing, like. But I'm just ignorant. I don't know.
I like it because nope, actually, never mind. I was mixing up stories.
Huh?
I can edit that one.
I would
out.
love. No. Let it. What were you gonna say?
No, I was mixing things up. I straightened it out in my head right before I opened my mouth, or
Yeah.
right as I opened my mouth.
I love having Perez over here with his phone. I remember that from last time. I think you were on. You were like our fact checker kind of thing, or like expander.
I wonder when that happened.
Yeah, adding a little frosting to the Meadcast. Meadcast.
The power of the internet.
Yeah, in your hand. Speaking of in your hand,
Search the Bing.
sponsored by Bing. Man, we haven't done that in a long time. Bee leashes. Speaking of in your hand, only if you are worthy can you pull Excalibur out with your hand. Also, the next one we're going to talk about, you have to be worthy to have it in your hand, and that's Mjolnir, which is possibly going to create some of the more fun moments in the mead hall when people try to order this thing. Because if you know how it looks, how it's spelled, and you first look at that, I remember when I first saw it, I was like, "Ooh, nope, I'm not even gonna try that one." Yeah, but it's
I already
almost-
botched it
You did?
earlier in the podcast. So.
Which is thank you for taking that one.
Yeah.
We talked beforehand. I
Right,
was
right.
like, can you mispronounce that one to lead up to this good little point here? So
Happy to help.
yeah.
We're hoping you left us many comments about how we need to get our pronunciation correct.
Yeah. Leave those comments below.
Yeah.
So Mjolnir. Mjolnir is Thor's hammer, the name of that hammer that he has. The god of thunder, Odin's son.
It is not set in a stone,
It is a stone
but
itself
even harder to lift.
than a stone.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
or
then
than
Excalibur.
Excalibur.
Then Excalibur.
You got to be extra worthy of
Yeah.
it. Oh, interesting.
You think Thor could have picked up Excalibur?
I don't know.
Mm.
I feel like, isn't there a couple different ways that Excalibur goes? I think, Charlie, you were looking that up, maybe like that either like the woman in the lake put it in there. I remember Merlin put it in there. Obviously, that
Yeah, there
was
are different
from the
stories that
series.
we were looking at. Yeah, the lady in the lake or something. There was that mythology, but I think the first one was having to do with Merlin putting it in there.
Yeah.
I think so, because I think the Lady in the Lake didn't come in till till within the last 50 years or something like that. The Lady in the Lake was a more recent addition.
And that was part of the Merlin show too. The lady in the lake, because he didn't want anyone to have this sword, so he chucked it into the lake, and then
And then she grabs it.
long time later, she comes back out and gives it to him. So not to spoil too much. We're talking about Mjolnir, though. We're talking about something else you have to be worthy of. And maybe you can, if you are worthy of this mead, you can grasp it in your hand and get hammered. So what are some of the ingredients?
Please drink responsibly.
Please drink responsibly. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, lawyer. So this one is, I'm not going to go around the table, but we've got fig, rosemary, and pink peppercorn.
Yeah.
Nice. I'm correct on that, right?
Yeah.
Okay, just making sure.
It's a scary one too, because it's like lavender is in the same sort of category that I put like cinnamon. I mean, there's a handful of flavors that we've used over the years where it's like it's got a very specific sweet spot in the amount of time it's spent in the batch. Anything less than that, you don't barely taste it. Anything over that, it's terrible, and it's like a 24-hour window when it's just chef's kiss.
Oh, nice. And you're talking about which ingredient in this one?
For this one, it would be the peppercorn. Pink peppercorn.
Oh, what? Oh, I totally thought you were going to talk about the rosemary.
Yeah, me too.
No, well, I mean, you could do both in this one, right? So
Double,
we've got two ingredients in this one that are real touch and go.
Man, I'm getting nervous now. I wasn't nervous before. Gosh.
You're only sweating because it's like 80 degrees in here.
It is
in
getting a
March.
little warm, yeah. I could use a nice Mjolnir right now. So rosemary, peppercorn, something to be careful with. Fig, we've never used either. Charlie, can you talk a little bit about the fig that we're using? Because
where'd your figspiration come from?
Yeah, can you just grab those figs and just slightly squeeze them to tell us about it? I tried. That was terrible. All right.
Fig it up.
Fig it up.
So finding fig concentrate or fig juice wasn't the easiest thing, but we did finally track some down and get it here. And I've never eaten a fig, but I've had it in numerous drinks, and it's always some of my favorite beverages. So that was where, I think this one was mainly come up with by Perez, but one of the other weapons that we're doing also has fig in it. So
Double fig.
Yeah.
we're getting double figged on the weapons.
2 figs, 1 bottle. I thought you were the fig smuggler, Charlie. So I guess no, Perez was thinking the fig for this one. But the other one, next one with the fig was yours.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I forgot, like these were coming from people. Who was the creator, if you will, of Excalibur? Oh, that was Perez. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have 2 in here? Do you have 3 in
Yeah,
here?
it's 3.
Yeah, basically.
God. Nerd. Overachiever.
I like to brew. What can I say?
You do like to brew, yeah. He is the president of the Mountaintop Mashers Brew Club here in town as well. And so you brew just a little bit. Okay, so Excalibur was Perez. Mjolnir was Perez. So fig, rosemary, pink peppercorn. Did that come from anything?
Yeah, within the homebrew club, at least, we had a competition last year, and we had a few entries that had pink peppercorns in them, and I had never thought to use that in a mead before. Super interesting. They weren't really overpowering, but it was a nice combo. And then, basically went to buy some when I made this distilled mead sort of gin cocktail. Which when I brought it to Europe, they were like, this is not gin, you should just call this an herbal liqueur, but put some pink peppercorns in there, gave it some nice color, and then figured, well, if this is going to be maybe a little more savory, I'd always wanted to try to do something with rosemary as well, so then just figured, well, which new fruit that we're going to get might complement this, so figured since our blackberry and lavender was already kind of chosen, and then our other weapon series with the other fruit, kind of lent its hand in that other herb. It was kind of like, well, this is the one that's left. So,
do you think the pink from the pink peppercorn is going to outcompete the color of the figs?
Doubt it.
Like that was something I brought up as we were starting this. Is I was like, we've got a lot of pink meads and red meads and blue and yellow, right? Like, I think that pretty much sums up our colors. And I think the figs are going to end up straight up brown.
Yeah, that does look pretty brown.
Fig it's kind of brown. So I'm curious if that pink peppercorn will add like a kind of a rusty like tinge to the brown because it'll add a little pink, a little red, you know?
Right. I mean, in our volume, I feel like we would have to use pounds and pounds and pounds of peppercorns to get any color from it. So.
I agree. I think it's flavor-wise much more potent than it is color-wise.
Right.
Yeah.
You make a dish of something and you put a sprinkle of pepper on there, and it's like you're not changing the color. So I don't imagine that we're going to use enough to
Gonna see that.
get much color from it.
Especially with
Not
the
with
fig.
that attitude.
That's not with that attitude. It's going to be interesting. I'm excited to see all of our product end up so crystal clear,
Right,
brilliant clarity.
Yeah, final color.
Yeah, and so I'm pretty excited to see this like crystal brown.
We should get like paint chips from the store, and people will be like, "What final color do you think it's going to be? Find your shade of brown."
Oh, that's a nice one.
And then we'll see who's the closest.
Ooh, a little side quest.
Yeah, I guess if you want to do that, you can go to Home Depot or I don't know, any paint store, Sherwin-Williams, if those are still a thing.
Right.
And pick out a color that you think our Mjolnir is going to be.
Sherwin-Williams still around. They just changed their logo from covering the earth in paint to something else because it didn't fit the times anymore.
Oh my gosh.
I'm gonna guess it's like rusted sunset or something.
Oh,
Rusted
whoa,
Sunset.
Rusted Sunset.
Man, that sounds super Route 66-y.
Yeah, or like a metal band.
Rusted Sunset.
Or a jam band like Rusted Root.
Oh yeah, send me on my way. I would like to move on to the next mead. Here we go.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean,
Here
it's
we
an
go.
interesting blend of some herbs and spices and fruit. So
Yeah, there's plenty of scary stuff.
sweet
in there.
and savory.
Sweet and savory. You're still talking about Mjolnir?
Right.
Oh, okay.
Final note.
All right. Final note. Yeah. Hard to say. Easy to drink. Just like our acai.
That's right.
Mjolnir. Oh, great
Oh, you
intro
said it too many
for.
times now. It's not.
When I say it 3 times like Beetlejuice and it appears. That'd be sick.
So you mentioned that earlier. Hard to say. Which meads do you think are the hardest to say that we make? I can think of 3.
I mean, I think Mjolnir will be acai
Right.
and metheglin.
Right. Oh, Freya was the other one I was thinking of.
Oh, with the J in there.
Right.
You know, I haven't gotten a
Freja.
lot of feedback from the mead slingers yet on if anybody butchers that one.
Right.
Is it butchering? What? Because
I
I'm
don't
thinking
think
you
they
say Freja, right?
Which is also a which is also a correct fudge. Which is also a correct pronunciation.
And also a
We're not even
great television
drinking this
show
time.
from the late '90s, Freja.
Freja.
Freja Crane. Yeah. And
Freja.
so, did you find that when you're calling?
Yeah,
your,
I think
calling
even
your pup.
yeah, I think
You're
even
like,
with our
"Freja."
retailers, when we call them or they call us and say, "Hey, we need some more of this mead," and they're reading off the
Oh
labels,
yeah.
and that's always,
Do they read the Freja?
well, yeah, and like our text is a little different on the label too. That it's not just like bold Arial Times New Roman font. It's a little different. That I think it could be challenging for some people when they're like metheglin
Oh
and
yeah.
Freja.
Yeah.
Awesome.
It was a learning curve for me too.
Akai, what's Akai mead?
Yeah.
That one's the hardest one. And people are so willing to correct you on it.
Just wait till we make our quinoa mead. Quinoa.
Or even, it was more of the ingredient, but like Smog. Smog had rooibos tea in it, but people are like,
yeah.
rooibos. Or
I still
whatever.
no, I don't.
I mess
can't.
that one up all the time. I'm all Rubios.
Yeah, Rubios. That's what I always
Like,
think.
bro,
Of.
the I is on the other side of the B.
Rubios sounds like a diner you're gonna go to. Go to
Rubios.
Rubio's diner.
An Italian diner.
Yeah. All right, so we got Excalibur, we got Mjolnir. Next up, I want to talk about one from kind of a Game of Thrones. Well, not kind of, it is from Game of Thrones.
For the folks that are familiar with our company, the continuing pursuit to try to get sued by somebody big enough so that it's free advertising.
Yeah. I mean, a cease and desist would be nicer than getting sued.
Yeah. We're hoping for that first. Otherwise, my whole plan backfires.
Yeah, we'll frame it and put it up. Does Disney own Game of Thrones? Is that a Disney thing, or is it by itself?
Maybe Tolkien, or what is
George
R.
R. Martin.
R. Martin.
No, he sold his rights for sure.
HBO.
HBO.
But
Oh
who
yeah, it was
owns
on HBO.
HBO?
That's right. Who owns HBO? It's all. I saw a list of, not to get too out of the ballpark here, but I saw a list of all these companies that are owned by like one family.
Yeah.
And like it's gonna grow here in a second, like even larger, and it's like, whoa.
Yeah, it's literally like 3 companies that own the whole U.S.
So, quick side note: in the December deal, valued at $82.7 billion,
With a B.
Netflix bought Warner Brothers Discovery, who also owns the television studio HBO's, which means that Netflix owns Game of Thrones.
Okay, nice.
There you go.
And that actually caused downtown Flagstaff to have an issue with their Harry Potter
That's
scavenger
right,
hunt.
because they weren't able to secure the. There's no Harry Potter scavenger hunt this year.
Yeah, they couldn't get the rights for it, so they have to change it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Big moves, big moves. But oh well, we can cry about that kind of stuff over a nice glass of this mead. Brought to you by brought to you by
Larry Potter.
by Larry Potter. Yeah.
That's who's sponsoring this next year.
I was thinking you were gonna say Harry Pooter.
Harry Pooper.
Harry
Yeah.
Pooper.
Wasn't that the name of Homer's pig?
Spider Pig?
Yeah. He's no longer Spider Pig.
Oh, I don't know.
He's
I don't know.
Harry Plopper.
Harry Plopper?
That's what it was.
That's a doctor's visit.
Yeah.
Or a mountain lion.
Yeah. Yeah.
Ooh. Okay. So I forget who gave it to her. It was her brother.
Nick almost got eaten by a mountain lion a few days ago, so that's why. He's got mountain
I
lion on
thought
the
it scared me a little bit. Yeah, it was a little freaky, but there's no video evidence.
Send us a message if you want to hear more about it.
Yeah.
Speak
I'll
pipe.
tell you the story.
Send us to the speak pipe.
Oh yeah, if you guys have any comments or any you want to just drunk dial us or leave any kind of voicemail.
Yeah, you
Any
should save
voicemail.
that number and drunk dial us, please,
Yeah,
too.
drunk dial us and.
But I'm gonna drunk dial you back.
It is you don't get it on your phone. Well, you do on your phone because your phone's your computer. But it is speakpipe.com/drinkinghorn. And that'll take you. It's really simple. You don't have to download an app or anything. You just push a button, start recording, and send it. That's it. Speakpipe, speakpipe.com/drinkinghorn. So this next mead weapons mead is I don't know. Do you guys remember? Did Jon Snow give it to Arya? It was her brother that gave, but I think it was I forget who the original older brother was that died in the Red Wedding.
Oh.
Spoiler.
Yeah.
It's been like 10 years.
Oh, I would have gone ape crap if someone would have done that to me. I did actually, right back there. If you guys remember.
It was given to her by Jon Snow.
Oh, it was Jon Snow. Okay, so
You know nothing, Nick Irvin.
Yeah, I do know nothing pretty much, and that's how I like it. So this is Needle, the sword given to Arya by her brother, and I personally love that this is one of our choices because I was late to the party watching Game of Thrones last winter, not this past winter, but the one before. I finally watched it. I'd never seen any bit of it at all, and so I'm excited that it's a little more fresh in my mind. Needle, the sword given to Arya Snow by Jon Snow. Sorry. Yeah. I know nothing. It's true. So what is?
Rob Snow didn't make it very long in that book.
Yeah. No.
Movie, whatever your medium is.
Yeah. So what's this one? What do we got here going on for Needle?
So this one was kind of my baby, I guess. I definitely wanted to do a fig mead, and I'm a big fan of the cherry flavor too, so I wanted to do like a cherry flavor, but I didn't want the brightness that usually comes along with like a cherry flavor. Even dark cherry is, it's a little bit of cherry and it's like boom cherry or Bing cherry, or it's just
Chandler Bing.
But so that's where the fig comes in. I think it kind of takes that sharpness away, adds a nice earthy sweetness to the mix.
Oh, I think the vanilla is just going to accentuate that even more.
And then adding in some vanilla for a little bit of, complexity, and then kind of the secret but not secret, because we list all of our ingredients, is the tea that we're adding is probably butcher this too, Lapsang Souchong.
Yeah, that's at least the way I butcher it.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
We're all butchering it the same way together.
So it's a heavily smoked tea Strongly caffeinated. We tried a couple different varieties and found one that we all really liked. It's not going to be a primary by any means flavor in it. It's just going to add to the complexity and a little bit off sweet some of the off flavor some of the sweetness, and get a little smokiness in there. Real earthy sweet.
I personally love the fact that we're using that lapsang. I remember having a cup, I don't know, a mug, a glass of tea, cup of tea? No, cup of tea.
I'm pretty sure it was a horn.
A horn of tea, yeah. A while back, and being like, oh, this is my style of like, because I like super smoky scotches, like Lafroig. Yeah. Yeah. This one, you might not hear much from Perez on this one.
Damn cherries.
Yeah, but I was super happy to see that as an ingredient, and I'm excited to see how much. You say it's a background, complexity flavor. So we'll see. So yeah, that goes. Did this come to you from any other previous place, like food or beverage, anything?
Not really. I had just had, I believe it was a Snapple flavor that had the fig as a primary flavor. Yeah, and I was just like, well, I'll give it a shot, and tried it out, and I was like, oh, this is really good. And I still haven't eaten a fig yet, but man, I do like the figgy drinks. So
that kind of answers a question that I was going to ask both of you guys, because like you both came on the same day with fig meads.
Yeah.
And I thought that was really interesting. Like if there was any coordination beforehand, you guys talk about it. Was there like whispers while you guys are bottling, and you're like, let's fig everything.
Fig it up.
Fig it all.
Yeah, because I don't even think that was a normal juice on our list of available. So it was like, normally we would look at that and be like, okay, well, which can we choose from this available list? And it wasn't on there. So like Charlie had mentioned earlier, then it becomes, well, then how do we find it?
Yeah. That one was a little bit of a mission.
Right. Yeah, just not available from our normal sources. And then, trying to buy, one, pail bucket of juice from someone else, and all the extra costs associated with that. Trying to make it make sense of, well, how can we get it and still keep it fairly affordable?
I love that. I love that you guys were coinciding, kind of, your cycles are starting to come together. But
the stars aligned and brought out the fig in them both.
Yeah, the figs, and I cannot. It's still, this is random, but just back when I was in college, like for some reason, the group that I kind of became friends with would, if something was cool, they'd be like, "Oh man, that's the figs." Like I don't know if
Really?
anywhere. Yeah, I don't know if anywhere else
Was
around
that
the
Jersey?
country. Yeah, it was in Jersey.
Huh.
Yeah, Seton Hall, and like, yo, that is figs, and it just meant it was like really good. Or, like,
Let's bring
awesome.
it back just for
bring
this.
Bring it back. Yeah, so I don't know if there's anyone out there listening, and you said that too in another part of the country. Because sometimes that gets discovered. Like you're like, oh, I thought we were the only ones that said that, kind of thing,
Yeah.
or did that.
That's the bomb diggity right there.
Yeah, and I've made a mead with fig Newtons before.
What?
A couple of years ago, and that didn't turn out the greatest because
I remember that.
right, this is kind of before I realized that making a mead as a traditional first, so that you get your fermentation good and everything's like nice and easy for the yeast. When I was making my must, I just threw in a whole package of Newton's Own fig Newtons.
Just like punch some holes in the top of it and let it soak.
Right, and I did like some nice hot water. Basically thought I was going to dissolve them, but they did not dissolve. I don't know what sort of binders are in there to keep those things together. But
Did you
then,
knock the bread off it, or you kept bread on and
whole
everything?
thing.
Just whole
Yeah.
thing?
I guess it would have been more of a braggot if it had some grain in there.
Yeah.
It's not like they were gluten free.
I don't know that I said bread, but like I don't even know that there's grain. in
Yeah,
that
that's
stuff.
probably flour. But yeah, and this like soupy hot water with just a bunch of fig Newtons floating around, and I was like, this is not going to work. What do I do? So then I had to like scoop them out with my blender, go back inside, blend them, throw them back in there, got the honey dissolved, and then just had this like porridgey, sticky mead must. And I'm like, I don't know if this is going to work out very well. I mean, the yeast struggled so hard right off the bat. It finally fermented through, but then in my bucket, I had probably 5 or 6 inches of just fig Newtons and yeast on the bottom of that bucket. And it's like, well, I'll try to not do that again, where I, add them in up front. Could have done them afterwards, soak the meat on that and then strain it off, but lesson learned.
Lesson learned. So one thing I want to make sure everyone knows is that was Perez doing a homebrew.
Right.
That we didn't do that here
Right.
for our figs. Number 2, you said the word must.
Mm-hmm.
Some people out there might not know what that is. What
Right.
did you mean by must?
So in brewing terms, at least like with wine and mead, before you get things fermented and you add your yeast in there, basically what you've made is must. That's like your sugar liquid. If it's winemaking, it's basically just your pressed grapes, your grape juice. Since we're not using grapes, we mix basically just honey and water. That becomes our must before we add our yeast in there and then start the fermentation.
It sounds like it's a must for making mead.
Yeah, it is. Nice.
Yeah, and then in beer they call it wort. So it's just weird that you have. I'm assuming for cider it's probably also must. I don't know if there's a separate term for the cider pressings.
I don't know, but wort and must are not the greatest of names.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, I think, yeah.
Would you call it pre-ferment?
I don't know. Anything but
Sounds
must.
gross, too.
Yeah, must is like what like musk is what I think of, like a musty smell.
I mean, wort.
Wort, yeah.
Speaks
it's
for
just-
itself.
Yeah.
With
Yeah, but-
Charlie's love of beer coming through right there.
The funny thing is like what must like smells amazing. It smells so good. So
Yeah, must. Which
Well,
kind of
for
makes
cider.
sense for cider. It's still must.
Yeah.
That's what Bing just told me.
Yeah.
Is that it's still must, which makes sense. I guess with like, it only makes sense under the purview of looking at it from the licensing aspect, because cider, mead, and wine all have the same license.
Same license.
It
Yeah.
makes me curious what sort of like language of origin those are from and why those terms stuck around. I imagine wort would probably be German if they
Oh,
were
yeah,
like
yeah,
the big
totally.
beer.
Wort.
With an umlaut. Wort.
It's an awfully short word for Germans.
Well, it's short for Wortengreinen.
Yeah.
Wortengreinen. But cool. I just want to make sure that people understood what that must word was. So, Needle, any other thoughts on that mead? I think I'll ask that question later. Actually, I have that as one of my questions. But I'm interested to see how those all play together. All of these, I'm interested. The Mjolnir, the Needle, Excalibur, just being blackberry and lavender, is I don't know.
You know, it's like when we come out with new meads, it's like a double threat of excitement. Because first, it's like you get to try the new mead, right? And like that's what our end of things on this side of the business is doing, is like working on the production, the labels, the so on and so forth, getting the actual mead into bottles and kegs. And then the mead hall is going to get a hold of it, and they're going to make cocktails out of it.
Oh.
So then you get to taste it in a whole new way. So I'm really like, it's so exciting to see the mead initially, and then it's super exciting too to see what the mead slingers make into the cocktails.
Full of a garnish and maybe a straw, but not a straw, 'cause it kills turtle.
Why does your voice sound better than mine when we sing?
A whole new mead.
Just reminding people that no mead was involved in the production of this episode.
Which is actually, it makes this the most soberest episode ever.
Yeah.
That might be part of the problem.
People are gonna hate it. We're gonna make way too much sense. But
Like, their tangents were really short.
all right. Speaking of which, our final mead, weapons mead in the series, not necessarily in order of release. I want to say that right, because we don't have that part of the schedule. We do know Excalibur is going to be the first one, and Charlie's saying, yeah, he probably has an idea, but I don't want to release it, mostly because I don't know it.
He doesn't know it. He's looking at the calendar right now.
Okay.
Nick's
it
trying to
changed.
give us a little bit of leeway so that we're not held to our podcast for timing release on
No,
meads.
you never know. You might need more peppercorn, and that'll take more time. But our last, or our fourth mead to talk about comes straight from, oh my gosh, this has had to be mid to late 80s when this came out.
Link? Zelda?
Yeah,
The first Zelda I know was NES, so late 80s.
Mid.
I think mid.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, well,
Mid.
there we go. Evan said it. Zelda. So the weapon for that is, I didn't know this actually. I didn't know that Link's sword had a name.
Because Nick doesn't play enough video games.
No, I played plenty of that original Zelda. Nick doesn't play video games past the year 1997, 98.
Oh, it's like a century ago.
Yeah. This is Master Sword. So, nice. Master Sword. We got a bunch of people being like, yeah, listen to this right now.
I hope
all the
so.
gamers out there. And so Master Sword was the sword that I always imagine, because I really only remember the first 2 Zeldas, and the original one, like, you're walking, and when you like engage the sword or hit the button, it would just kind of be like it would just like kind of shoot out. I don't know. It's like a whank, like this little like white thing that just goes whank. And
That's definitely the NES version for sure.
yeah, it wasn't like an elaborate like you saw it like probably these days they have
you
like
could-
nice
you could-
intricacies and stuff. It was just this white thing.
You can get the turbo controllers where you can like press a setting and it turns the button to turbo.
Oh.
And like you press that and then it's all.
Oh man, back in my day we had to use a golf ball.
Oh, yeah.
A golf ball on the D-pad.
Yeah, no, on the buttons.
Oh, and just roll it.
And if you go like that, it's just like.
God, your controllers must have been beat to hell.
Yeah, they were. Master Sword. So this one is again ingredients we haven't used before in meads. We have 2 types of currant. We've got black currant and red currant, and then we've got Thai basil. Nice, another herb. So 3 out of 4 of these have a. 3 out of 4 of them have some kind of like, I guess we'd call it an herb.
I'd call tea an herb too.
Tea is an herb too. You're right. Absolutely. 4 out of 4. So lavender, rosemary, tea, and
Would you call
Thai
vanilla
basil.
an herb?
A
I
what?
would call vanilla an herb. Would you call vanilla an herb?
That's a bean.
BJCP says it's a spice.
Spice. But if you
I guess so, because herb usually is, well...
if
is
you take
herbs-
an herb and crush it down, doesn't it become a spice?
No. I think herb refers to it being part of the body of the plant, as opposed to the fruiting,
Seed.
as opposed to the fruiting body of the plant. Like,
Well, then even a vanilla, like it comes out of the flower, and it's like the bean pod that comes out of the flower, right?
So it's
Yeah.
a spice. Vanilla is a spice.
And not the actual
that
like
definition.
petal or.
Yeah. Herb is herbaceous. It's like the leafy part.
So is a tomato a fruit or a vegetable?
Oh gosh. Well, there's 2 different.
clearly a fruit.
Biologically or culinary. I
Right.
know there's those 2 differences. So, comment below what you think about vanilla and what was the other one we were talking about that might be different? Vanilla or... Oh, no, it's just a vanilla. Is vanilla a herb or a spice?
And comment
Or
about
neither.
whether or not tomato is your favorite legume.
Legume. So I don't. Where did this one come from? Whose was? Oh yeah, that's right. Duh. By default, it was Perez's. Where did that come from?
The sort of ingredients or the name or both?
Let's go ingredients.
Okay. Let me remind myself which was in here. I guess shout out to Schramm's Meadery for probably making one of the first currant meads I've ever had.
Shout out to Shrams.
And I think as far as like popularity goes, probably still one of the most popular currant meads that's out there. Maybe before ours gets released, who knows? We'll
That's
see.
right. That's right.
We're gonna need more bottles.
But I'm always the type of person that's like, more than one ingredient is better. If we want to make a apple mead, fine. If I was going to do something like that at home, it's like, why can't I have 15 ingredients in this and make it more complex?
Yeah.
So I do have to kind of limit myself or find some sort of balance between how many things I want to try to put into a mead. And had just done some cooking at home and was like, oh, this is a really interesting type of basil that I hadn't used before. This Thai basil tends to be a little sweeter. And just figured, same thing, fruit, spice, maybe this would work out. Tried a couple little small samples here and there, and I think it's a good combo.
Did you try dried or fresh initially?
Initially just fresh.
Yeah.
But it was a good idea to try both, because I think doing the tests here at production that there's, best of both worlds. I think one of them had a stronger aroma that we want to be able to pick up in the nose when we're having the product. And then with taste, I feel like taste was much better in fresh. It seems obvious, but that might not always be the case.
Yeah.
So then just kind of deciding, well, we might just have to mix a little bit of both. That way we get some stronger aroma flavors and some stronger taste flavors from the fresh stuff.
Which I think is pretty nifty, like using both, types, fresh and dried,
Right.
to make something, just to get that full and proper bouquet.
Yeah, I was really surprised at how different they were, the fresh versus the dried. It was just, not like, there was like an intensity difference, but there was almost like a characteristic difference for me as well.
Yeah, it was pretty huge. It was
Yeah.
pretty huge.
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 Charlie, have you ever had a currant before?
Never had a current.
I haven't either. Yeah.
I've been lost in the current before.
Yeah. I've shredded a current before.
Oh, gnarly, bro. Gnarly.
Yeah. Have you ever had a current?
Mhm.
Like an actual, like the fruit?
Yep.
Oh, okay.
Super tiny, pretty bitter. I feel like it's bitter, like a lot more bitter than it is sweet or juicy.
It's always sweet in drinks, but it is another one of those that is like
Maybe it's because if you eat the whole fruit, you're just getting like a lot of the skin and peel too. That it's just mostly bitter. I think.
Yeah, there could be something that gets released when you bite into the skin or.
Well, and even think of something like blueberries. I know there's tons of different varieties, but I feel like a lot of times if I'm eating blueberries from a little pint at the store, a lot of times I get more of that bitter up front.
If they're not ripe.
But then, then you get like blueberry juice, and it just seems to be much sweeter.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I have had drinks with it in it, but never actually tasted one. But I'd be interested to taste it. So the fruit and then the Thai basil as an herb brings up a question for me. For like BJCP, which is the kind of like the organization that creates the categories of meads and the tasting notes and all that stuff.
categories of everything.
Of everything. Oh yeah, sorry. Of everything, beer and mead and such. If you have, so a fruit in a mead is a melomel, and herbs and spices in a mead are metheglin. Does one overpower another if you have both? If you have a fruit and an herb and a spice, is it a melomel or is it a metheglin or is it some other category?
Yeah, I don't think that they were super creative in a different fanciful name. They just figured they'd call it fruit and spice. So that is the category of that combo.
In a stroke of creativity.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. Fruit and spice. So we've got a couple fruit and spices on here. Some might say all four.
Yeah.
Depending on vanilla. Because lapsang. Okay.
Yeah.
So Master Sword, it is Link's sword that he uses from the Zelda series. Black and red currants and Thai basil.
And Charlie reminded us as we were making the label and coming up with the text and everything for the back of it that Master Sword is a notoriously overpowered sword.
Overpowered,
OP, baby.
Like it's not very
like
good.
It's super strong.
It can
it's
defeat,
overpowering.
Yes.
It can defeat all evil.
It can defeat all evil.
All evil.
Yeah.
Oh man.
In the later
that's pretty
games,
powerful.
like you don't get it until close to the end.
Because it's such a powerful weapon.
Okay. So then is that the one that he had in the very, 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 very first one? Was that Master Sword?
I don't know that.
Because I was very surprised. I didn't know. I'd never heard Master Sword.
There's so
before.
few pixels. It's hard to tell.
Yeah, it's like 3. No, it's 8-bit. It's 8. Cool. So this very overpowering, can take out all evil. That's nuts. Even the Necronomicon.
I tried to call it an elixir on the back of the label, and the TTB shut that down.
Oh, you can't say elixir.
No, I can't say elixir because they say it has a health connotation, and we're not allowed to talk about health of alcoholic products.
Oh, wow. Okay. All right. Well, that's stupid, but I guess it kind of makes sense.
What if you said health potion?
Right?
Is that not allowed either? No
They're
potions?
probably not. They're like,
Or especially if you said
worse.
health.
Yeah,
potion.
exactly. Yeah, worse. Yeah.
But
we
we filled it with puns. Don't worry.
I know
Once
a
you get the
brewery
bottle.
that absolutely 100% I guarantee uses health potion on theirs. But
Some kombucha or some
it's a
June or
different
something.
beverage that's not as strict as ours.
Oh, yeah.
It's a beer. Yeah. I'm not going to throw out their name. But
Weak.
yeah.
I thought you were going to throw it out there. I was going to cough through it right there.
Oh, no, I already said it. If you rewind about 45 seconds, I said it. Yeah. Cool. So those are them: Excalibur, Mjolnir, Needle, and Master Sword. I've got a couple questions for you guys as we are pushing the post hour here.
Holy crap.
That's a stupid question. My first one. I'm gonna go past that. How do you feel about this new series? That's dumb. What do you think people like about having a new series come out? People who are going to experience this. What do you think is going to bring them, excitement or joy about this series in particular?
The alcohol.
The alcohol, yes, that well said. We all drink it. We drink alcohol for a reason. How it makes us feel.
Yeah, I feel like it's a combo of multiple things, right? We have all of our regulars and the usuals that come into our tap room that obviously always want something different. So that's going to give them some excitement. I think for our demographic, I'm trying to think of a better word to use than nerd. I mean, it's like endearing in a sense that like that culture, that group of people, I think it's going to draw them in.
Nerds are cool nowadays, bro. We're cool again.
Right.
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely not in the negative context.
Gaming and fantasy.
Sure. Yeah. And that culture, they're going to,
Aficionados.
the artwork is great too. I think even our retailers are always looking to have more choices and fill their shelves. So just having more available. We are definitely that culture where it's like you want a brand of cereal and there's only 500 to choose from. So it's nice that if you want a mead, you can come into our tap room and there's like 16 to choose from.
That's right on Route 66, downtown Flagstaff, 108 East Route 66. You can come in. We got 15 flavors on tap. We'll have each one of these on tap as well as bottles to go and available online at drinkinghornmeadery.com.
Shout out.
Nice. What route is that on?
66. Charlie, what do you think people are going to enjoy about this series?
Yeah, I think it's all pretty much been said. The artwork, the experiencing new flavors, and the buzz.
Yeah, the buzz. Yeah, we keep talking about the artwork, and it really is. I mean, this is like a collectible, straight up a collectible. I feel like our Dragon series was as well, but I don't know if you guys agree with me on this. I think this one is another level of collectible with just the types of mythology and gaming stuff that we hit with these. And the artwork is just, it's so cool. It's so cool.
I mean, have you seen how much Goodwill's resells our empty bottles for?
Oh, good. I didn't know what you meant by Goodwills. I was like,
They're
who's
collectibles for sure.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, we have our empty bottles and they'll sell them for like $5 or something.
Yeah, we see them in the local ones periodically. It's fun.
Yeah, and then I'll go around and ask. Evan, we'll start with you. Which weapon mead do you think will sell out the fastest?
Well,
take too long.
Excalibur because it's coming out first.
No, not first. No, I rewrote that question specifically. I said, which one will sell out the fastest?
Oh, you knew I'm a word hound. I mean, honest. Oh, that is tough.
All right, Charlie.
I'm going with the needle.
Needle. All right.
I'd say Excalibur.
Excalibur, and then back to Evan.
I'm gonna go Master Sword.
Oh, all right.
Poor Mjolnir.
I know.
Hey, Nick, what do you think is going to sell out the fastest?
I think Excalibur might. I think that's not the one I'm going to enjoy the most.
I just threw you a softball.
Gave you that layup.
Gave you that one.
For Mjolnir?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. What? Okay.
I don't want your
I can
honesty.
lie, or I can be. Yeah. I am. I'll tell you one thing. I said Excalibur is going to sell out the fastest. Nobody at this table except Charlie let me finish. I was going to say it's not going to be the one I enjoy the most.
Oh.
I'll still enjoy it.
What do you think is the one you
But
enjoy?
between Needle and Mjolnir, I think those two I'm going to like the most because I like those kind of powerful flavors.
Earthy, smoky.
Yeah. So I think I'm going to love the peppercorn. I hope that comes out. I've made beers with peppercorn in it, and I enjoy them. And then that lapsang. So those two I'm going to enjoy the most. But yes, I just think Excalibur's going to.
I think they all fit so nicely for like different times of day, depending on what you're trying to do.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we'll let you guys know which one sells out the fastest if we remember. It's going to be a while because these are going to be released every 2 weeks. That's at least the schedule for it. I got some weird looks. Is that correct? No, that's correct. Okay, I don't know. Maybe someone tooted. I don't know. So yeah, I like that. All right,
Tried.
we are going to play a game now. So prepare yourself for a game.
You got to stretch.
Nope.
That's right.
I mean,
Because cheetahs don't stretch.
you can. We're live on TikTok, so people would enjoy watching you stretch right now. We are going to play a little game called Rate the 8. And I'm handing out sheets right now that say Rate the 8 Weapons Edition. And so you've probably seen this if you watch social media with... you're not happy about this?
I don't know what it is.
Oh, yeah. There is going to be... everyone got pins?
Yep.
Sweet. I'm going to name off weapons, and when I name one off, you have to choose where you're ranking it. You're not going to know the next...
Oh, right. You have to just start.
You've seen these, yeah.
What am I ranking the weapon based on?
Which one you think is the best, the coolest, the one you like the most. Not
All right.
okay, cool. That's a good question that's a good question because it could be like which weapon you think is the most powerful, like which one you would want to.
Yeah, there's lots of
want
different ways to
have.
rate things. Yeah.
Should we do that? Is that interesting?
No, I like personal
just
personal
personal
preference.
Yeah, which ones you like? Okay.
Yeah, I think I've seen some ones like this where they're talking about like musicians or bands, and they're like, rate these as like the greatest musicians all time. And,
Totally.
You know, they're going through, and then at the very end, I remember one where it's like, oh, Freddie Mercury and Queen, and like the dude only had his last spot left, and he's like, oh, the internet's gonna hate me for this.
Yeah, because you have to. You just have
Right,
the last place.
He
but
already
it's
gave
someone
his
awesome.
spots. Yeah.
Totally. Yeah, that's exactly what this is. So, all right, it's gonna be tough to write on this with the tablecloth, but all right, your first weapon is Wolverine's claws. Adamantium, baby.
Just the claws, not the whole
Just
skeleton.
the claws. Well, yeah, no, just the.
That
claws.
was totally gonna be my question too.
Right.
And then you got these kind of people here.
I mean, very,
Fucking write down Wolverine's claws somewhere.
very specific, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Don't think. I mean, think decently hard, but
I don't know how to not.
yeah.
I mean, I guess they weren't completely indestructible, right? Didn't his clone
That's
or something
true.
cut them off?
Yeah.
Plus Magneto.
You think they would have had that forethought and not made them magnetic? Like, there's plenty of like non-ferrous metals that you could have made it.
Next up, Captain America's shield, both defensive and offensive. Captain America's shield. Well, no one's got opinions on that. You mean his whole shield or just the outside edge?
Wait, is it his whole shield?
Yeah, his whole shield. All right, next up, Ghost Rider's chains.
But they're gonna burn my hands.
We got it's if I don't know if I can even achieve this. It's fun for people watching to see where you're ranking them.
I put Wolverine's claws as 3, and Ghost Rider's chains as 7, Captain's shield as 8,
The last one.
because I ain't no good at frisbee.
Oh, yeah, yes you are. All right, next one, Harry Potter's wand.
As long as all of my enemies are trees.
It probably yeah, true. All right, it probably has a name. I don't know. Harry Potter's wand.
Harry Plopper.
Well, we got some opposites here. A little, well, not quite opposite. We got some high. Oh, we got one high, one low, one middle. And then,
I'm running out of low spots.
yeah, it happens.
I'm like stacking the back end, but I'm going to end up with something terrible as number 1 that I don't get to
Yeah.
choose on.
Next one is Indiana Jones's whip. Dun, 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 dun. Charlie, oh, you're killing me, man. Second to last. Ah, my 70s guy. Throwing it down low.
I feel like it's useful as a tool, but weak as a weapon.
Yeah, that's true.
Bowl whip.
Unless it gets you in the eye.
Wow, my
All right.
one eye.
Next up is David from David and Goliath's sling,
Oh, this is why I shouldn't have put everything on the back end.
known as a Kella. I
Well.
guess I found that out today. I might be pronouncing that wrong. I think it's Kella.
Tiny dude's sling. Number 6.
Which is different than a dude's tiny sling.
That's true. And also different than slinging tiny dudes.
Wow. Yes. Yeah. Whee, whee. All right, next up, Michelangelo's nunchucks.
Ugh.
Michelangelo's nunchucks. Evan's got the top 2 left. Oh, everyone has the top 2 left. Oh, and you're all 3 going for number 2.
That's because we think
you don't
something's
know
got to
what the
be better
number
than
1 is.
Michelangelo's nunchucks.
Yeah.
None
And then
fucks to
finally,
give.
it looks like everyone's got the number 1 left, and that is Luke's lightsaber.
Yes! That is the best of all of these.
There you go. You done good.
Maximum damage with the least amount of skill required. You're probably going to cut your own leg off, but that's okay. It won't bleed out.
Yeah. Or it won't.
Oh,
because
it's a
soldered it?
lightsaber. Yeah, cauterized it.
Cauterized it.
I was waiting for the Infinity Gauntlet.
Yeah.
Snapping.
That's yeah. We could go all over the place with like different weapons, huh?
Well, and we did 2 years of dragons, 3.
I think 2.
2 years of dragons, and so I mean, there's a good chance that we run. It depends on how much hate we take for not having the dragon series this year. But
Yeah.
I would love to see weapons again next year.
Yeah. We'll go around the table. What's your biggest one that you're like, don't on here? That should have been somewhere else.
Michelangelo's nunchucks.
Yeah, it would have been lower for you.
Man, nunchucks seem so cool, and I imagine if you're thoroughly trained with them, they're a formidable weapon. But it's mostly just like me whacking myself in the face and the nuts.
Yeah.
So that should have been at the bottom.
I did find a little research that showed that they were mostly skill practicing. Like they weren't like combat as much as they were just like practicing movements and motions and stuff like that.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Charlie, what about you? Which one are you like, nope, should have put that somewhere else?
Yeah, probably David's sling down at the bottom.
Yeah. Yeah, you got it number 3 on there. Nice.
Yeah, it's Indiana Jones's whip was too high on my list.
Yeah, where'd you end up with that one?
Number 5. But yeah,
Oh,
the
gosh.
nunchucks,
Yeah.
the sling, those were way too high as well.
Yeah, everyone thinks like you're waiting for that better one.
Right.
And I actually had no purpose in the order. It was how I thought of them or researched them. And can you tell what's kind of missing with all these? Like what they're not?
Not swords.
Yeah, not swords. Yeah, I was looking for non-sword weapons.
Oh, all right.
Yeah, so that kind of was a little tough.
I guess
to
this
do.
lightsaber is the closest.
Yeah.
What if we made
It
a...
is
Sword
saber.
adja- sword
A sword
adjacent.
is a saber.
What's Dr. Jones's bullwhip mead going to taste like?
Leather.
No, what's
Snakes?
Rocky Mountain oysters
Oh, yeah.
for the bull if it's a bull
Oh,
whip.
yeah, there you go.
Yeah. Cool. Right on. All right. Well, thanks for playing Rate the 8,
All right.
Weapons Edition. Maybe I'll post these up in a story. But yeah, any last words about this series? Just excited to get it.
I want to taste them. I'm freaking ready.
Keep your eyes out this spring, this summer.
Yeah, they're going to be coming to the Mead Hall online, and hopefully a lot of stores around the valley open them up as they release. So April 1st, Excalibur coming out. So maybe some stores around on that Friday we'll be getting those. Tucson and Phoenix
Yeah.
area on that one,
And the new bottles.
new bottles. Yep, excited about the new bottles.
Woo.
Yeah, they are. They are a big part about them is, as Evan said, better environmentally, supporting local, but keeping costs down too. So changing over to these bottles, we are seeing that it's going to help us with costs.
We know it's going to be a change for folks, but save those swing top bottles, and of course you'll still be able to refill the new bottles. Just
That's
bring
right.
it back in. We can refill it off the tap just like we have done with the swing top bottles in the past, and then we just crown cap it for you. We'll still recommend drinking it relatively quickly because it's poured from off tap, but by all means, they are going to be maybe not quite as easily resealable, but just as reusable.
Yeah, the mead slingers over there at the Mead Hall have been trained in how to cap these guys, right? So yeah, you can still refill those bottles. The label has to match the mead that goes inside of it, as per usual with our license, though. So
Yeah.
cool. Well, let's wrap this up and get back to you guys making beautiful mead. Thanks for coming on the Meadcast, you two. Thank you, Charlie. Thank you, Nick. And thank you for making some delicious meads and putting a lot of passion into it. Like we said in the beginning, it isn't simple and it's not quick. It's something that takes time. Sourcing ingredients, testing ingredients, all that stuff. Let alone all the work of trying to figure out how to get them into the meads, literally sometimes, or get them out, like with the hops.
Right.
Yeah. So yeah, thanks for joining.
Yeah, I guess if our listeners have thoughts and ideas of either weapons that we missed or some flavors that they want to see, by all means, they can make suggestions and we can do some experimenting.
Yeah. If you're listening on Spotify, you can comment on here or go to our socials and comment what weapons you'd like to see, and if you're for extra credit, throw some ingredients that you think would go well with it.
38 requests for Banana Runs Mead.
Or use the speak pipe you were talking about.
Yeah. Leave us a voicemail. Let us know if we may have messed something up with one of these theories or the Excalibur story or anything like that, or like I said, drunk dial, or leave a message in what you're enjoying about the Meadcast. Always, we would love to hear your ideas on future Meadcast episodes. What do you want us to talk about? We love hearing that. We just love hearing from you. So again, speakpipe.com/drinkinghorn, SPEAKPIPE.com. Real simple. Again, you don't have to download anything. Just hit a button, record the voicemail, and send it our way. All right, well, that's it for episode number 44, Choose Your Weapon, and we will see you hopefully in the near future, or you'll hear us in the near future.
Thank you for joining in for the Drinking Horn Meadcast.
Meadcast.
See you next time.